Is Matthew Scianitti, a TSN CFL analyst. Matthew, a lot of reaction to this. I want to get to some of it from the players in a sec, but walk us through these very big changes and Stuart Johnson really making a mark early on in his tenure as CFL commissioner.
Yeah, after his 100-day listening tour, Matt, he's basically looked at the CFL field and said, I'm going to shake it up a little bit. And certainly this is a league, because I've been around it for well over 15 years, that changes like this are going to entrench a lot of opinions on either side. When you lose the 55-yard line, an identifier on the field and of the league, when you push the goalposts from the front of the end zone to the back of the end zone, shorten the end zones from 20 yards to 15 yards, when you adjust the play clock from a 20-second play clock that's blown in by the ref to a automatic 35-second play clock, you're going to spark a lot of opinions in people, just some of the people that you heard there. And I think this is going to be a very interesting 2 years, because it's a staggered approach. So there'll be some adjustments in 2026 and then some adjustments in 2027. A lot of those adjustments to the field will have to be based upon what the clubs do in their respective venues. Are they going to put seating there? Some of these other clubs have other sports and other tenants, and certainly youth sports, and whether or not they're going to adjust their field as well in places like Winnipeg and Regina. But overall, this is what Stuart Johnson, this is his mark now. I mean, Randy Ambrosie wanted to take the game more international with CFL 2.0, and Stuart Johnson has basically said, we're going to change what the CFL looks like to try to make it a more exciting game.
And it's interesting, too, and I think it's going to take some time, clearly, and watch these rules slowly start to come into place. But the players in particular, and I think of Nathan Rourke yesterday, BC quarterback, who was very outspoken about this and said that the league didn't talk to the players. Take us through some of that reaction.
Yeah, this is always, having been around the CFL again quite a long time, sometimes these things happen. There is always, when I mean these things happen, that the players who play in this league, and I'm very lucky to be around them every week from June all the way through to November, they are here because they want to be here. They are here because of the uniqueness of the CFL game. And Nathan Rourke, certainly having taken his NFL detour, has now, as one of the stars of the CFL, has seemingly embraced everything that makes the CFL unique. Now, many of my colleagues in the CFL and TSN, David Sanchez and Luke Wilson, among two of them, have taken issue with some of the things that Nathan Rourke said, particularly about whether or not Stuart Johnson actually likes the game and his views on the game. I can tell you that Stuart Johnson is a huge fan of the Canadian Football League, but it doesn't mean that Nathan Rourke's points don't have some merit, particularly when you're talking about some of the adjustments to, frankly, how special teams will play and whether or not it's going to, alter some of the ways that kickers and the kind of kickers that are in the CFL and returners especially, because with the goalposts now moved back, it does eliminate those wide field goals, which have become really hallmarks of the Canadian Football League. So, and I know that there are some other rule adjustments that Stuart Johnson is going to want to speak to some of the players and the GMs and the coaches about, but that's a rules committee thing. This was the overall kind of structure of what the game is. And Stuart Johnson said it was unanimous. So if Nathan Rourke has an issue, he's going to have to go to Amar Doman, who's the owner of the BC Lions. And I know that there are others, including Mike O'Shea, who've had some issues with it. He'll have to certainly talk to Wade Miller, who is an executive there with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So this is going to take a lot of getting used to, but that kind of line of communication and what happens over the next couple of weeks as the players speak to and the GMs speak to those in the Board of Governors is going to be quite interesting.
Does it make it harder to, Matthew, this happens mid-season, right? We're still in the middle of the CFL season, and I'm not saying that the timing was necessarily wrong, but it has to make it a little bit harder for the players when an announcement and when changes of this nature come in while you're still in the midst of, battling for a playoff spot as we lead up to the Grey Cup.
Yeah, this is Stuart Johnson wanting to be disruptive. This is Stuart Johnson basically coming in and saying, listen, this is how I see that the next iteration of our league is going to look, and I'm going to put my stamp on it. Having an opinion about it, do I think it would have been better served in the offseason? Perhaps. But at the same time, he's also ripping the Band-Aid off and telling everyone, get used to this. This is going to be a part of the immediate future of our league. And I will personally miss the 55-yard line because I'm on the field, because I'm so blessed to be so close to the action all the time. But I can also understand the perception of moving the goalposts, because we had some incredible plays and have had traditionally some plays where the goalpost has kind of blocked the view. And Stuart Johnson, obviously being a former television executive, is looking to make the game more appealing. there are other aspects that I'm interested in. What's going to happen to the final 3 minutes? Because when the clock is blown in, it kind of adds to the excitement of those, again, intervals of 20 seconds. That makes the CFL so unique. But Stuart Johnson also looked at that and said, listen, from our analysis and our research, it has basically drawn out the ends of games. So making that announcement now is his way of saying to the fans, to the stakeholders, and to the players, changes are coming, and at least from his perspective, changes that are going to make the game more appealing to others who may want to introduce themselves to the CFL.
Yeah, going to be a lot more reaction to come. Matthew Scianitti, CFL analyst for TSN. Appreciate your time this morning, Matthew.
Thanks, Matt.